Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. It's a wonderful day out, nice and sunny out, I see, and today we're going to explore spirituality in motion. My name is Andrew Holmes, and I'm one of the counselors in the Center for Student Success, and it's a pleasure to be here with all of you as we explore what spirituality in motion might mean for us today. It's an opportunity for us to explore what bringing wholeness and connection to our lives might be and what that might look like grounded in love and belonging. So as we spend some time together exploring this topic, I would invite you, if you have any questions, to feel free to put them in the chat box for us or in the comment section on Facebook. And I'll do my best to bring those questions forward. I by no means claim to be an expert, but somebody who is passionate about spirituality. And so let us begin our journey. Namaste, which comes from the Hindu, and it means the divine in me sees the divine in you. Some people may wonder what the difference is between spirituality and religion. And so I just put up this Venn diagram that I came across for you to take a look at. And for some people, spirituality and religion go hand to hand. But you can be religious without being spiritual, and you certainly can be spiritual without being religious. But the two certainly can overlap. In spirituality, it's a place where you may find meaning or how you feel connected to yourself or to the world around you, or it's a way in which you choose to live your life. Where religion is a practice of rites and rituals, things that you follow. Um, Sometimes it's a moral compass of what is prescribed as what could be right or wrong and what is true or false, or a belief system that is based on what is true or false. For today, I think that spirituality can be defined in many ways. But for today, I'm calling on Brene Brown and the work that she does. And how she defines spirituality is this. Spirituality is recognizing and celebrating that we all are inextricably connected to one another by a power greater than all of us. And that our connection to that power and to one another is grounded in love and belonging. So that's the place where we start today, knowing that that is spirituality is today, working with today. about being connected and grounded with one another in love and belonging. And spiritual wellness for me, spiritual wellness is when I look at my spiritual health, I look at things like, am I being brought to a place of awareness of myself, around the world around me? Is there an awakening happening within me that's calling me to change in some ways, or to pay attention to certain things? Does it call me into a place to transform where I am? Is there spaciousness, connection with myself, with the universe, or with God, however you define that higher power to be, or to one another? Does my spiritual wellness allow me to have places where I can just be who I am, without having to explain? Am I grounded? Does my spirituality allow me to have places where I am grounded? And is it restorative? Does it bring me a sense of peace and hope and healing? And I think what also is important, and why I call this spirituality in motion, because spirituality I think also has to be challenging. Does our spirituality challenge us to move forward and out into the world to do something? I'm just going to mute myself and come back into mute because apparently my okay, we're back on. Great. And that leads us to that. I think spirituality needs to take us to a place of change, that it changes our perspective and somehow of how we see ourselves and others in the world and the world at large. It can change our attitudes towards other people or towards ourselves or towards particular issues that we face in the world. It can change our experiences. It can change our expectations. Spirituality is a place that leaves us grounded and centered within ourselves. And sometimes it's important, spirituality and religion can go together. And I think that there are sometimes places where religion can give us some language to help us understand some things in a different way. And so, you know, out here we see all sorts of different religions and the golden rule that is very common amongst many religions. For example, in Sikhism, it says that I am a stranger to no one, and no one is a stranger to me. Indeed, I am a friend to all. Where in Buddhism, the same thing is said, but it is said in this way: treat not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. Or in Islam, not one of you truly believes until you wish for others what you wish for yourself. In Judaism, what is hateful to you, you do not do to your neighbor. This is the whole Torah. All the rest is commentary. And in native spirituality, we are as much alive as we keep the earth alive. Hang on, I've gone too far. So if we hold these things to be true, whether we practice a certain religion or we just practice a specific spiritual practice, then what is it, how is it that we treat ourselves? Do we come to a place in our lives where inside we feel disconnected? Do we have that voice of judgment or that self-criticism, that dialogue that continually goes on and on, where we blame ourselves, where we come to a place of being impatient with ourselves or that we hold shame. And if we come to that place of inner disconnection, it's very difficult for us then to move into being in relationship with others. But we also can come to a place of inner connection where we experience inner love, where we have patience for ourselves, or inner compassion for where we are at any given moment, where we can show kindness to ourselves, and in turn, where we can accept ourselves for who we are, just as we are, where we are at any given moment in time. And that's not an easy path to follow. And what that takes for many of us is practice. Practice, practice, practice. And how you choose to practice may be different for you, and it might be different for me. So some of the things that I find helpful that I understand what could be a spiritual practice, which basically I think anything can be that is life-giving, that brings a sense of awareness, of awe and wonder and curiosity. So sometimes a mindful self-compassion or prayer, be that centering a heart prayer, might be something that you might be involved in, or you may your religious tradition, if you're religious, may you may have set times where you pray during the day. Gardening can bring us a sense of being one with the earth as we dig and as we hold the ground and walk on the ground. Writing or journaling can certainly be a place that we can express ourselves and what we think. Music can also move us to a place of healing. Walking, walking in nature, or even volunteering and getting out and doing something for other people. And sometimes a spiritual practice can be therapy, can be seeing, going and seeing a counselor to do some inner healing work if that's something that you need to do. Or exercise, right? Feeling connected to our bodies as our bodies move and are in motion. For some people, they like to go and see a spiritual director. And that is somebody, sometimes they're called spiritual companions. And that's someone that you can go and speak with, kind of like a counselor, but you speak about your spiritual life and your spiritual journey and where the divine is, if that's how you define that, or that power that is greater than ourselves, how you keep yourself grounded in the world. You may find that helpful to seek a spiritual director. But you might be wondering what kind of resources you can connect with that you might find helpful. And so I've just put a few up. There are lots of things that you might find helpful. So I like using the Mindful Self-Compassion book. That's a really good workbook that you can get and walk through for yourself. Radical Acceptance is also another book that is a hard read, but it is a good read. Inspire, if you're in leadership, the book Inspire, What Great Leaders Do. It talks about what your purpose is and what your destiny is and how you define those things as a leader. I really have liked A Year of Living Your Divinity, a 12-month journal to nurture and ignite your spirit. And that gives you every month, there's a different theme, and in each theme, it's I am divine. So for example, February was I am divine love. And there's some questions that you can reflect on and some journal entries that you can write or you can draw. That might be, you might find that to be a helpful place to, or a tool to use. If you're looking for therapy and you're looking, you can always connect with one of the counselors at Sheridan. If you're a student, you can connect through us through Ask an Advisor at sheridancollege.ca. Or if you're looking for therapy outside of the college, you can connect with the Psychology Today website. And you can just put your postal code in and it can come up with all sorts of therapists that are in your area, and they have a bit of a blurb or their website. And if you're looking for a spiritual companion, the sdicompanions.org website might be a good resource for you to take a look and see who's around. And again, that is throughout the world, so you can connect with people through different parts of the world if that's what you're looking for. And I'm just reminding people that if you have any questions or comments that you want to say or bring up, please feel free to do so in the comment section as well as in the chat box. And today we're talking about spirituality in motion and how do we do that in today's world. Some apps that I quite like, there's a, hang on, I'll go backwards. There's a heart centering app which takes you through a whole process of prayer. And you heard the chimes today before I said namaste to you. That's a part of that. They have some spiritual readings that you might want to look at. And then it's kind of a meditative practice where you sit in silence for a few moments. Spirit at work cards. If you're at work and you want something that's inspiration, you may find those. The Calm app. Calm app has both meditations. They both have story times that you might find helpful to bring about rest for you. And then there is the I Am Divine. You may want to check that out, where they are also cards where if you download the app and you click on it, it will say I am divine love, I am divine light, I am creativity, and it has a different description for you and opportunities for you to journal within the app. And I'm understanding that I am sounding a little glitchy, so I'm just going to try and turn off my sound and turn that back on for you. Okay, hopefully that is going to help us. Just going to check our chat box. Balance is on. Yes, David said Balance is a great meditation app. Thanks, David. That's great to also know. There's all sorts of many apps that are out there today, so it's just a matter of kind of searching and trying to see what you like and what resonates with you, or ask the people around you, what they're kind of looking at and what they do. You might find that to be helpful. Gratitude is also nice as well. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And so, when we came to practice, one of the exercises that I invite you to do that Louise Hay does, and it feels a little strange at first, it's called a mirror work. And so I would invite you to spend the next 2 or 3 weeks in the morning when you wake up, going to the mirror and looking in the mirror, and you say your name. So my name is Andrew. So I would go to the mirror and I would say, Andrew, I love you. I really, really love you. And life loves you too. And you say that to yourself every single day. We are really good at negative thought chatter. And we hear a lot of that comes from our brains. And what we need to do is replace that with some positive things. So I would really encourage you about bringing change and transformation in your life, about having a sense of love for yourself and a sense of belonging to yourself, that you try to do this mirror work where you say your name and you look in the mirror, even how difficult it might be at first and it might feel strange and funny, that you say, I love you. I really, really love you. And life loves you too. And that, of course, like anything, takes a lot of practice. So practice, 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 right? Where we notice, we attend, we appreciate, we feel, we welcome, and we greet ourselves. And then that, when we're able to do that for ourselves, then we're able to move out and beyond ourselves and into community, however you define community, however you choose to see community in your life. And when you're in community, it's a place for you to be to to not only love, but to experience love back, to not only belong, but to allow others to belong to you as well. And when you're looking for that community, it's important that you focus on your passion. What are you passionate about? What ignites you? What excites you? And connect with those communities that align with your core values. What is it that you believe in? What is it that you're important? And work within that community to create resilient communities. Keep yourself inspired as you inspire others, and honor the sacredness in one another. When we are able to honor the sacredness within ourselves and within community, then that propels us into a place of action in the world where we seek to do work for social justice, where we seek to end oppression in all its forms. And we do that by transforming ourselves so that we can transform our communities, and in turn, we can transform our world. May it be so. Just going to chat our chat box here. Well, that's a really good question. Somebody is asking, how do you find these communities? Well, that I think is a really important question that you ask. And so, I invite anybody who, let's open this conversation up to, people who are hearing and are participating about how do you find those communities. For some people, finding those communities are, they find them within religious places. You may find them within Sheridan. There are many groups and organizations that the SSU has, so you may find them within the SSU, the different clubs that you might want to be involved in. You may find them through, if you Google what's in your area, sometimes volunteering and knowing what you're passionate about and finding a place that aligns with your passion and you can volunteer can also be a good way of finding that community for yourself. Or sometimes we find it amongst our friends, and then we create community that way. So there's many different ways and opportunities to create that community, but sometimes I know it can be a struggle and it's not always easy. I'm just going to chat our chat box here. You are most welcome. So I'd like to open it up to a conversation with anyone who has any questions or thoughts that they would like to bring forward. I'm more than happy to open ourselves to conversations. I'm really glad that we're doing Wellness Wednesdays and that we have opportunities to do all sorts of different things and take all sorts of different topics and look at them, and how do we look at wellness for our lives and have kind of a holistic approach. And I'm certainly grateful that we were able to talk about spirituality in motion today and the ways in which we can challenge ourselves and feed ourselves and love ourselves so that that propels us to go out into the world and create communities, find communities, and be in communities to work for change and action. So I'll just give a couple of moments to see if there are any more questions that anybody might have, or comments people might like to make, or maybe people would like to share what their spiritual practice is that feeds them. Well, I am so grateful that all of you joined today. It was nice to meet everybody and spend some time together to explore spirituality. And I think we have a couple of chats that we're going to look at. So someone has asked the question, how can you tactfully and respectfully change a shallow or negative conversation to a more spiritual one? Well, that's an interesting question that you ask, and sometimes that can be really difficult to do, right? Sometimes it's important that we use I statements, I feel or I think, or even being curious. Right? I think curiosity and wonder can get us to deeper levels of conversation. So if you're having what feels like a very shallow or negative conversation, you know, um, I'm, saying phrases like, I'm really curious why you think that. Like, how does that work? Or I wonder what's that like? Or what's the opposite of that? You might want to, say, for me, what I hear you say is this, and for me, it means this, right? Or you can give examples of why that might not feed your soul or ways in which it does feed your soul. All right. Well, if that's all, I want to thank everyone for connecting today. And I believe that there is an evaluation that people are being asked to fill out. And I would invite you to do so. But thank you again for joining us for Spirituality in Motion. And thank you for your comments and for being here and participating. Take care and have a good day.